Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be working on Series Gray. We're going to go ahead and do a transmission service on the car. It's had several problems with grinding fourth gear even since we purchased the car new. And then also a little sneak peek, we have a little rivalness going on between Bobbi and Devin, where the wife wants to race Bobbi Evo in the Series Gray. I'll tell you what, you guys better watch out because she's got her driver mod on. But let's go ahead and get the transmission drained and up in the air. And I'll put in a clip here of what's going on with the transmission so you guys can see what it's like before we do the service and then after. Stay tuned. So ever since we bought the Series Gray, it always seemed to have a fourth gear grind at higher RPM where we grab the gear pretty hard. As soon as we took the transmission out of the car and put it into Hyper Blue, when we borrowed the trans, it didn't grind at all in Hyper Blue. So I always thought that was kind of weird. And maybe that it was just a stock clutch not engaging quick enough, I guess, when you're shifting the car, so it was causing it to grind. Then when we took the trans back out of Hyper Blue and put it back into the Series Gray, obviously because it's our daily driver, it always would grind fourth gear no matter what at any RPM at that point. So now what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you guys the cocktail that I use in the STI transmissions. This should go ahead and solve that fourth gear grind. I'm also going to show you the fourth gear grind and then drive the car afterwards and show you guys the difference. I think that'll be pretty helpful. So let's go ahead and see what happens when we shift the car from third to fourth, just normal driving, and you guys can hear the grind. Obviously we got gas light on there, don't mind that. But you can see right now I'm cruising in 6. So let's go ahead and go to third. So obviously it's pretty higher RPMs because we're cruising here. And then as I shift, just listen, see, it does grind quite a bit. Sorry, I didn't record that as much as I should have, but so here we are in third. And then when you grab fourth here, grinds. And you can see the fluid we're about to use on the floor there. So that's what we're gonna go ahead and tackle today and see how big of a difference that actually makes. So I think it'll be really cool to show you guys the difference and actually how much of a difference that cocktail makes in this kind of scenario. It is pretty common for the newer transmission, well, I should say newer STIs. I don't know if Subaru changed their fluid as times got newer, but it seems to be more common in the 08 to all the way to 2020 where they have problems with the fourth gear grind. Back like 04 STI also had the fourth gear grind problems. But once I get back here, we'll go ahead and I'll show you the drain plugs and we'll get the trans drained and we'll get it filled up and let's see that difference. So we'll be back shortly. All right guys, so now that we're back in the garage, I can go ahead and show you the fluids that we're gonna be using for that transmission flush on the Series Gray. As you can see here, this looks stock, but there's gonna be more stat because like I told you guys, we're gonna be doing a 400 wheel build on this car. So that way you guys can see a very attainable setup. I know that seems to be the most sought after is 400, 450 wheel. So stay tuned for that. But let's go ahead and take a look at the fluid we're gonna be using today. So this is what I like to use as a cocktail. As you can see there, Redline Lightweight shockproof, and then 1 quart 75/90. Sometimes I'll kind of change it up where I'll do 2 of the lightweight and then 2 of the 75/90. But for how bad of a grind we have in this car, I think this is going to be the fix to that. Now I know I'm probably going to get some comments in here, depending on how many views this video gets or how many people see it, but a lot of people don't like to use the shockproof fluid. They say it's not a synchronized transmission fluid, but I've had no issues with it in the past, and I think that's safe to say with the power I make, if I haven't had issues, then I don't think that this car back here is going to have issues at 400 wheel. So regardless of what they say, they can go ahead and pick their fluid. Some use AMSOIL or Motul mixed with this. But that's what I use. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys where the drain plugs are at on this car. And we'll get this fluid drained out. As you can tell, today I'm in just my home garage. So a little bit different environment. You guys will learn a little bit more about that. Like I said, there's been some changes coming up, so I'll go ahead and get more into that later on. But today we're just going to focus on getting this transmission flushed. So let's go ahead and get the car up in the air and let's get the drain in it. Now that we're under the car, we're gonna go ahead and start with that drain plug first. So we're gonna go ahead and drain that out, and then we're gonna move on to this drain plug. Once you have those all drained, then we can go ahead and fill the transmission back up. So let's go ahead and get a bucket under here and get those drained. So as you can see there, we got that drain plug removed, and now it's starting to drain out there. Color doesn't look too bad on it, but it's definitely pretty watery. So we'll go ahead and let this drain, and then we'll move on to the next drain plug in front of it. So this is a little bit of a harder way. You can see the tool right there, and this is the top of the transmission. So it's gonna be a little shaky as I pull the phone out here. But you can still see the tool, and this is where we're coming from. So I didn't feel like pulling the intercooler off. Like I said, there's more to come of what is going on with the car and what's done to it. But it would be a pain in the ass to pull that intercooler off with the current setup that's on the car. Now, when the car is all stock, these things are not that hard to get off. They're a piece of cake, get on and off, but there's more to this one than what you see right now. But definitely just looks like a stock STI. Now the reason why I'm not telling you guys exactly what's going on with the car, me and Devin have been kind of going back and forth a little bit, and the wife wants to race Bobbi and her Evo. So we made a couple of tweaks to the Series Gray that give her more of a chance versus Bobbi's Evo, because Bobbi's Evo has full bolt-ons. I think they said it made around 360. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of keep it on the DL. We're not gonna tell Devin what's going on until after we do that race and that video there. Then I'll go ahead and update you guys of what changes we made to the car. And I think you guys will be really surprised with how well it does with how little it has. But let's go ahead and get back to this transmission service. Since we don't have very much room with that intercooler on, you can see here we kind of ghetto fab this. This is a larger hose. I think it doesn't say on here. I think it's 1 inch or 7/8. But you can see here, I stuffed a 5/8 hose in the end of it to give us our length we need. And then this way, we can go ahead and put this side here on our big funnel, and we can get that fluid in the trans. There is obviously funnels that have a longer hose going down them, but the hose's diameter is so small. As you can see here, this one is got light on it. It's decent, but when they get smaller, then it just takes forever to get, especially the 7590 in. So I like to do this, that way it moves a little bit faster. I'll show you the funnel that I'm gonna use when we go ahead and put it in. So this is that larger drain plug in the front that I showed you guys earlier. You can see the material. If I can get this damn thing to focus, you can see the material in there. That's nothing crazy. This has the original fluid since it was brand new, and now the car has 21,000 miles, and obviously Hyper Blues abuse. But that's not that much material on there. I've seen a lot worse. That tells me that most likely we're dealing with a thinned out fluid or a fluid that's not doing its job, and that's why the car is grinding. But let's go ahead and put this back in. So here's that funnel I was talking about. You can see the hoses on the bottom of it. Sits up just like this. Makes it really easy for you to get to. Gives you a nice area to fill with fluid. And this goes really quick. This makes this only a few minute job versus having one of those small hoses and the 7590 taking a while to get through, especially when it's cold. But this is what I like to use. Obviously I clean this before I use it for cooling again, but this is what I like to use. Works great. Just a tip for you guys. Let's go ahead and you can see here I've already added the fluid in. It looks like Smurf blood is what a lot call it. I'm gonna go ahead and get that plug back in the top of the transmission, get it all sealed up, and get the car off the jack stands and go for a test drive. We got Alex with us now.
What's up, guys?
So we got the trans all serviced now, so we're going for that test drive in the car. Let's see how big of results and change we got by changing the fluid. So we're cruising here. You can see 42 miles an hour. I got it up in the RPMs just so you guys can see if it grinds or not. So we're in third gear, and then now no more grind at all. So that's just by changing that fluid. So it's a pretty big difference. I seem to have really good luck. Alex over here, he's used that fluid as well.
Fixed my transmission in a fucking second.
And it definitely makes it a lot smoother, and to go from how bad it was grinding like you guys saw to no grinds whatsoever it's a pretty good bang for your buck for about 75 bucks just to change that fluid and you have no more drying. So that's going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video.